Morning.
Morning, everyone.
Thursday today.
Yeah, we're in Joshua chapter 4 today.
Joshua chapter 4. Nice
It's
to
so
be with
exciting.
you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to start.
Oh, I'm going to start apparently. Right. This is the part that Joshua has been waiting for. They cross over into the promised land. But I just had a thought that this chapter is this book is entitled Joshua, but really it should be God. It should be entitled God, because everything is about God. Everything that Joshua had to do, the people had to do, was about God. And this we get this sort of wonderful thing that they're crossing the river, but God says, choose 12 men. They've got to pick up 12 stones to represent the tribes of Israel. And they had to pick these stones up and do what God said to them with them as a remembrance that God knew, like us, that Joshua and the people, even though they'd seen all these miracles, they'd forget. It happened to the tribes of Israel when they came out of Egypt. They forgot God. We forget God. We go our own way. But these stones were going to be made into an altar to remind the people what God had done for them. We don't need stones. We've got the Lord Jesus to remind us that about God's greatness and about God's salvation. But they were given instructions, and we were talking about this before we wrote everything down, that these stones, these weren't little stones. You can imagine these were heavy, and it reminds me of those Atlas stones that you see on Britain's Strongest Man or something. They must have been quite big, chunky rocks, because they had to carry them on their shoulders and put them down. And it actually says, and they put the stones down. They didn't drop them, they put them down. You can imagine that this was quite a sort of inspiring thing to do, that they'd been given instructions by God to pick up these stones, and we would just think, oh, they pick up stones. But it was really, really significant all the way through, and how we have to obey God even in the little things.
The stones reminded me, when I read it, I thought straight away of Jesus's words when he said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me, in Matthew. And I thought that must have taken effort and stress to pick those stones up. And Jesus says, if you are going to be my disciple and follow me, it's not going to be an easy life. It's going to cause effort and it's going to cause stress in certain areas, but I am with you always. And those stones were then given to Joshua to set them out, how God wanted them set out. So it was like, Jesus giving our life to Jesus, like one of the stones, and Jesus then taking those stones and setting them out as he wanted them. And it's like Jesus sets out our path, like those stones, he sets them out for his purpose and his glory, and in remembrance of him for what he's done for us. Another thing that again, this word obedience, word comes all the way through to me and to us. And from obedience, when you live in obedience to God, great things happen, wonders happen, amazing things happen, miracles happen, things happen that don't happen on the ordinary everyday, because God's in control and God's in charge, and God suddenly delivers. He steps in his might and his power, and he does amazing things in front of people. The power and the might of our God is just immense. We can't really put it into words, but these stories just reveal how great and how loving God is.
Yeah, and I'll have to do it quickly. I just thought about the priests that were stood there with the ark, and you can imagine they must have been in awe. There was this huge mountain of water behind them, but I thought that they weren't just stood there thinking, oh, when are we going to get out of the middle of this river? I think they must have been absolutely worshipping God. They must have been in absolute awe of what God was doing. And then right at the end, towards the end of the chapter, God commands Joshua to tell the priests to come out. Even that, God gives instructions. Tell the priests to come out of the water now. It just wonderful. Obeying God, great.
Read it again and again and again, and it's just amazing.
Okay,
See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
They're nearly